Young children like to talk in terms of how big or small something is, whose train is the longest, or how many more toys they have than someone else. Without realizing it, they're dealing with an important part of the language of mathematics, quantitative concepts. Early childhood expert Mary Majewski believes the following quantitative ideas should be part of the daily routines of young children: big and little, long and short, high and low, wide and narrow, late and early, first and last, middle, once, few, tall and short, light and heavy, together, same length, highest, lowest, longer than, bunch, group, pair, many, more, most, twice. Really, looking at this list, I can't imagine any better way for the children to come to comprehend them than by physically experiencing them. Certainly, giving them definitions isn't enough. Children are concrete, not abstract thinkers, and they need to see, hear, and feel concrete examples. So in this video, we're going to look at activities that easily and joyfully help young children experience and understand several different quantitative concepts. Believe it or not, follow the leader is a good way to begin exploring this topic, as it can reinforce the concepts of first, last, and in the middle. Once the children are familiar and comfortable with this game, as you lead the group, occasionally call out the name of one of the children. That child breaks away from the line, leading everyone who's following. This will change the children's positions, which you should continue to point out. To explore light and heavy, as well as opposites, try the following. Ask the children to sit and tap their fingers lightly on the floor in front of them. Then, in contrast, have them pound their fists on the floor. Continue to alternate between the two. Now invite the children to move their arms as lightly as possible, as though their arms were butterfly wings. Next, ask them to pretend that their arms are the propellers on a helicopter. Repeat this several times. Finally, ask the children to move as lightly as they can around the room, imagining they're walking on eggs and don't want to break them. Then ask them to move while making as much noise with their feet as they possibly can. Another possibility for light and heavy, as well as big and little, is to ask the children to alternate between being rabbits, which are little and jump lightly, and kangaroos, which are bigger and jump more heavily. What about the difference between moving like a kitty cat stalking a bird and a huge dinosaur? Be sure to employ the words light, heavy, big, and little in your discussions about these animals before asking the children to pretend to be them. Even better, ask the children to tell you what the differences are between these pairs of animals. They'll likely inform you things like rabbits are white and kangaroos are brown, but you can work the conversation around to size and weight. You can also use music to add another sense to the exploration of light and heavy. Play very quiet music and invite the children to move as lightly as they can to it. Then play louder music and challenge the children to change their movements accordingly. To explore high and low, invite the children to show you how high they can make their hands go. How low can they go? Repeat this, asking them to get their noses, elbows, belly buttons, and whole bodies as low and high as possible, and prepare for the hilarity that ensues. An extension of this activity is to use the slide whistle or your humming voice. Begin with a low note and move increasingly higher. When your voice or the whistle is as high as it can go, reverse the process with descending notes, like this. The children, meanwhile, start in squatting positions and rise and descend along with the notes. Repeat the process several times, varying the tempo. For the concepts of wide and narrow, use strips of paper or anything else that will do the trick to show the children the difference between the two. Then ask them to show you wide and narrow shapes with their arms, fingers, legs, and whole bodies. To explore the concepts of once more and how many, choose any non-locomotor skill, such as bending, shaking, or stretching, and ask the children to execute the skill once. Then invite them to do it once more. How many times have they done it? Now ask them to do it once more. How many times have they now done it? Of course, you'll have to stop before it gets too confusing for them. Another option for exploring how many is to challenge the children to find how many ways they can bend or sit or turn, for example, counting as they discover the possibilities. How many body parts can they shake or stretch or swing? To introduce the children to the idea of a pair, explain that a pair means that there are two matching objects, like a pair of socks. Then ask them to point to the pairs appearing on their bodies as you call out the names of these parts. Possibilities include the following: eyes, ears, hands, elbows, feet, knees, legs, shoulders, arms, pointer finger, nostrils. Can they think of any others? Pairs of fingers and toes are possibilities, as are hips and wrists and eyebrows. An activity I call A Few Good Kids reinforces the quantitative concepts of single, a pair, a few, and a group. Here are the instructions. With the children scattered throughout the room, explain that they're now showing you the concept of single, which means alone. Then challenge them to work together to show you a pair, two, a few, a small number, and a group as you call out these words. Begin by repeating them in the same order every time, but eventually mix them up. You could also vary the tempo at which you call out the words. Remind the children as necessary of the meaning of each term. To explore same length and to provide additional practice with the math concepts of measuring and counting, invite the children to move around the room searching for objects that are the same length, just as long as their hands. How many can they find? Later, you can ask them to find objects that are the same length as their arms or the same length as the distance from their elbows to their wrists. The children really love activities like these, and best of all, they learn so much from them by simply having fun. I hope these ideas inspire some of your own. If you enjoyed this video, please look down and find the subscribe button. Then click on it to make sure that you don't miss any future videos. Thanks for watching.